Representative Ronny Jackson out of Texas on Wednesday defended the Second Amendment while suggesting that video games and rap music were to blame for the school massacre in his state. Here's the video.
Our prayers and our thoughts are with the families there. It's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable evil. And I don't know how someone could actually do something like this. I think, there's going to be all kinds of discussions coming up, unfortunately, in the media regarding Second Amendment and regarding the other issues around guns in this country. But I think we really need to ask the question, how could something like this happen? How could somebody do something so evil? I mean, what kind of person, what kind of animal can do this? And I just think that kids are exposed to all kinds of horrible stuff nowadays too. I look back and I think about the horrible stuff that they hear when they listen to rap music, the video games that they watch from a really early age with all of this horrible violence and stuff. And I just think that, and they have this access to the internet on a regular basis, which is, is just not good for kids, I don't think. And so I don't know what's going on, but I think we need to stop at this particular point. Nobody needs to be pointing fingers too much right now.
Oh, I'm pointing fingers because this is a time when you blame people and you eliminate them from the narrative of solutions because you realize that they are useless in solving an actual problem. And to the black guy who works for that conservative news outlet, bootlicker, that's all you are, sir. I remember you, I've debated you on Fox News a couple of times. I see you didn't listen to my advice whatsoever. To the elected official who decided to blame this on video games and rap music. Remember, there is no evidence whatsoever that rap music had anything to do with any of what happened. Here's the thing, they simply would like to pivot away from a solutions-based argument that connects to guns in this country. They say, well, it's gun control or it's gun restriction. Let me explain how ridiculous those terminologies are, and the right has been able to message them successfully. With every constitutional right you have is also a statutory responsibility. There's a legal responsibility to every constitutional right. We all have the constitutional freedom of speech. That speech is protected. You can use that speech in order to create danger. That speech is no longer protected. The government can penalize you now for that speech. Does anybody call that speech control? Does anybody call that speech restriction? No, we call that common sense. Just as common sense should be applied to guns in America. Ronny Jackson endorsed by the Texas Right to Life Committee. Let's put up some of these pictures of him, Donald Trump, obviously, and him shooting a gun because that makes him an amazing person to those who are on the right. Representative Jackson introduced the No User Fees for Gun Owners Act. This legislation would amend Title 18 of the United States Code and the National Firearms Act to ban any state or unit of local government from imposing any insurance requirement or any tax user fee or other similar charges as a condition of continued ownership of a firearm, pistol, or revolver. These individuals are literally creating laws in order to make it easier for people to get their hands on the most dangerous weapons known to man. All right, David, thoughts here?
Well, the political argument from the right is that, well, if you allow people to restrict the sale of assault weapons, then they're gonna come and get your guns. The federal marshals are gonna come into your homes, they're gonna take away your guns. That is a lie, but it is a lie we keep hearing repeatedly that Republicans claim, oh, if we give even an inch now on the assault weapons ban, well then they're coming for the second. This is not about the Second Amendment.
Right.
But that lie is gonna be repeated over and over, particularly this weekend when the National Rifle Association has their conference in Houston. You're gonna hear people say over and over, well, we can't afford to do any regulation because if they do, then they're gonna come and get your pistols next. That's a lie.
Yeah, and you have to remember, man, 90% of Americans agree that universal background check should be a norm. Yeah. The majority of National Rifle Association members believe the same. That's based on 3 recent surveys that were done for their members. But it's the leadership of the NRA, it's the leadership of the Republican Party. They think differently. And right now we literally have a minority ruling class that controls all of these major policy decisions. These individuals are contrary to the normative thinking of most Americans. And we have to continue to fight for leaders who are willing to stand up to them.